Hello, welcome to part one of the post-secondary data collections and reporting training. My name is Josh DeBrabander, and I'm a business integration analyst here at CEPI. I primarily work with the Educational Entity Master, also known as the EEM. The post-secondary data collections reporting presentation is broken into 4 different parts. This part will be focused on using the Educational Entity Master, also known as the EEM. Here at CEPI, our work is focused on collecting and utilizing educational data. Our mission is to reduce data collection burdens, transform data into actionable information, and increase operation efficiency statewide. To do that, we collect data, connect data, and share that information with the public and our education stakeholders. The data you provide is a valuable resource used to create, maintain, and enhance the state's educational portal and the P20 longitudinal data system. During the presentation, you are likely to have questions. We are happy to help answer all of them. If you send an email to cepi@michigan.gov with the subject line RE:PSC presentation, we will respond in a few business days or as soon as we are able to. At the end of the presentation, I will also share my email address so that you may send any questions on the EEM directly to me. In this session, we will discuss the EEM. We will review the basics of EEM, what it is, how it works, what kind of data we collect in it, and how to update the data. I will also provide a step-by-step walkthrough on how to update the contacts and addresses, as well as provide an overview of resources and guides you can use after the presentation is over. Before we start, I just wanted to make a quick note on accessing the applications. Like our other apps, if you want to submit data, you will need to request access to the application first. Our security agreements can be found on our website at michigan.gov/CEPI and clicking CEPI Post-Secondary Applications in the left-hand menu. If you have any questions or encounter any issues gaining access, our customer support team is happy to help. Please send an email to cepi@michigan.gov and include the name of the application you are attempting to access. So with that said, let's jump in and start discussing the EEM. The EEM is used as the foundation for other applications across the Michigan Department of Education and CEPI. It is the directory for all educational entities in the state of Michigan and serves as the basis for the who, what, where, and why of the educational entities. So let's start by talking about the who. Who are Michigan's educational entities? The EEM differs from our other applications as it is the only public-facing application in CEPI. You do not need authorized access to search for the educational entities or the data housed within the EEM. For example, without a login, I could go to the EEM and pull up a list of all 2-year public colleges within the state. I could also pull up a list of every college and university, find the locations of the institutions, and the general contact information for them as well. The EEM also provides tools for both public and authorized users to generate lists of contacts and mailing labels. When I generate the list, I can include any contact type available in EEM and even select multiple contacts. For example, if I was a researcher and I wanted to conduct a survey with the provost of each college or university in the state, I could generate a list of entities in the EEM and then use the mailing contacts list to generate a list of all provosts listed within EEM. I could create the list in Excel or even have the system generate printable mailing labels for me. This page also provides an option for pulling a list of lead administrators. If I select that option, the list will only include the lead administrators regardless of what contact type they have. As you can see, it is a very handy tool for contacting multiple institutions at once. The contacts pulled by the mailing/contacts list come from the contacts listed on your entities page. Each and every entity in the EEM has its own contacts listed, and these contacts are added by your authorized users. It is important to make sure that this contact information is up to date and that all of your important contacts are listed here on this page. The contacts listed here are used for the mailing/contacts list, CEPI's own user lookup tool, and by various MDE program offices. If your contact is not listed on this page, or if the email address or phone number associated with a contact is out of date, you could miss important communications. While there are many different contacts you can add to EEM, there are some more important than others, such as your registrar, provost, or chancellor. CEPI frequently uses the contacts listed in EEM to reach out to colleges and universities, and if your contacts are missing, you will not receive these important communications. The contacts listed in EEM are also used to validate the authorized security forms you submit to gain access to CEPI applications. I also want to point out that there is a new contact type that has been recently added to EEM called My School Data Key Holder. This contact has special permissions on My School Data, including authorization to administer accounts for other employees of the institution, and they will also receive communications regarding reports, announcements, and other My School Data information. If you've not had a chance to add this new contact to your entity, I recommend working with your authorized user to add this contact. So that was the who of the EEM. Now it's time to look at the what. What information is stored in the EEM? We already know it stores data on your contacts, yet what other kind of information can we find there? To put it simply, EEM stores all entity data for your institution. This includes information such as the name of the school, its entity code, what kind of college or university it is, the general contact information, where it's located, its website, and those important contacts we already mentioned. These data are the most basic information we collect in EEM, but of all of these, the entity code is the most important. Each educational entity in the state of Michigan receives a unique identifying code that is used by our other systems. This is the 5-digit code you see associated with your entity. It is important to make sure your EEM data are up to date, as EEM data are used not just by the application itself. The data you enter are fed into different systems and shared with different partners, as shown on your screen. CEPI partners with the state of Michigan, supplying data to My School Data, Michigan Department of Education, and the Michigan Career and Technical Education Information System. Data are also fed into the Michigan State Longitudinal Data System. Other agencies, such as the National Center for Educational Statistics and the U.S. Department of Education, also use data from the EEM for research purposes. As you can see, EEM data are used by a large number of agencies outside of CEPI, and of course the data are also used by CEPI for our other applications such as STAR. Without an entity code in EEM, you are unable to report in any of our other collections. Now let's talk about the where of the EEM. The EEM helps answer the question of where are Michigan's educational entities located. The geographical search function within EEM is a valuable tool that allows the public to search for entities within a particular area. Using this tool, I can look for specific entities that are within a number of miles from a particular address. For example, let's say my daughter is about to graduate high school and is applying to colleges, and I want to make sure she goes to a school close to home. I can use the geographical search function in EEM to enter my work address. I'm going to select any higher educational college or university within 30 miles, enough distance that you can feel independent, but close enough that I can visit easily. Clicking the search option will then bring up a list of colleges or universities that are close to the entered address. Here, you can see the list of colleges or universities that are within 30 miles of the address I entered. The entities are listed by their distance to the address, with the closest ones being listed at the top. It also provides me with an aerial map of the colleges around me so I can see where they are in relation to one another. The geographical search function is able to pull a list of entities using the physical address listed on the entity page in EEM. Every entity in EEM needs to also include the mailing and physical address. If your institution changes addresses, it's important to update the EEM so the correct address is displayed. Now we are at probably the most important and most common question regarding the EEM. Why doesn't this work? As I mentioned earlier, the EEM is used as a source of truth for many different systems. So if something is not working, the problem may be traced back to an issue with the information in EEM. For colleges and universities, the most common issue will be the security form submitted for access to the other applications. When you submit a security form for STAR or another CEPI application, the form must be signed by the president or the registrar currently listed in the EEM. Once again, it is important to keep the information in EEM up to date. Doing so helps minimize those issues. One other thing regarding the security forms. Since all security forms need to be signed by the correct contact listed in the EEM, I highly recommend that you have at least 2 authorized users. Otherwise, you can become stuck in a catch-22 style loop. If your only an EEM authorized user has departed, you would need the president or registrar to sign a security form for the new user. But, the contacts listed in the EEM are out of date, so your security form is rejected and sent back. Now you're unable to update the EEM without an authorized user, and you cannot obtain a new authorized user until you update the EEM, and you can't update the EEM without an authorized user. See the potential issue? Our customer service team can help you work around this, but that process will take a lot more time than it normally takes to process a security form. Having multiple authorized users will help you avoid that loop. Now, I would like to change gears a bit. You have learned the basics of EEM, the who, what, where, and why. So let's spend some time actually looking at how to update the information in EEM. In this next section, I will walk you through some of the basic functions of the EEM and how you can make sure your information is up to date. To start, access My Login and log into the EEM. You should see the EEM homepage. You will want to click List of Entities under the My Entities menu. The List of Entities page will show you exactly what it sounds like. Most of you should only have one college or university under your profile, but if you are the authorized user for multiple entities, they would all show under this list. Just click the name of your entity to go to your institution's profile page. The entity page for your institution will list all of the information available for your entity. In order to change it, you will need to click the Edit Entity button. Once you click on the Edit Entity button, you will be brought to the Edit Entity screen. Here you can start making changes to your entity. Any characteristic in white can be changed by your authorized user. Characteristic in gray is changed either by the system or the state administrator. And a characteristic in yellow can be changed by the user, but will go to the state administrator for approval. As you can see, the 2 characteristics that require state administrator approval to change are the entity name and the entity open date. In order to change the entity name, you will need to submit some proof that the name has changed, such as documentation from the United States Department of Education or the state of Michigan. Open dates should not be changed unless you want to correct the legacy date. Some institutions show the open date as January 1st, 1900. This is a legacy date and was used when entities were transferred from the EEM's predecessor, the School Code Master, to the EEM. This doesn't cause any issues, so it is up to your institution if you want to list the actual open date. As we have already seen, you want to make sure your contacts in EEM are up to date. If you know you need to update a contact for your institution, you will follow similar steps to how we updated the information for the institution itself. So first, you will want to log in and click on List of Entities. Then select your entity from the list. Then click Edit Entity so that you can update information for your institution. Then you will want to scroll down and look for the Admin/Contacts tab. Find the contact you want to update and click on Details. This will take you to the Maintain Entity Contact page. Here the contact is listed along with their telephone number, email address, and mailing address. You will be able to update the information for the contact by changing any of the information here. In order to update the record, you must first validate the mailing address. The EEM uses the United States Postal Service's Address Validation Service to check each address before it can be saved. So here, I entered an address and clicked Validate Address. Uh-oh, looks like my address was not found. The issue here was I entered the name of the building instead of using the actual street address. Since UPS does not recognize the address, I'm not able to save my contact information. Instead, I will need to enter the actual street address used by the USPS for delivery. I changed the address from the Michigan Library and Historical Center to 702 West Kalamazoo. I can then click Validate Address and there we go. The page refreshes and the Submit button is no longer grayed out. Since I validated the address, I can go ahead and click Submit and the record will be updated. Clicking this button will also take you back to the Edit Entity page so you can verify all the information is correct before you click Save. Do not forget to click Save, or the edits you made to the contacts will not be saved and updated. If you ever need to know who your authorized users are, there are a couple different ways to do that. If you have a login for EEM, you can actually check in the application. So first log in and open your list of entities to find your institutions. On the page for your institution, you can click the Authorized Users List button to view who has access to edit your institution's information. Clicking the button will generate a PDF that lists your authorized users. EEM has functionality that allows multiple users, EEM has functionality that allows multiple types of users for a particular entity, and the different roles will be listed here with the users who have permissions under that role. Entity authorized users have the sole permission to view, edit, and submit changes for your entities. Other user roles include entity view-only users and public users. Entity view-only users have access to the application but cannot make any changes to the data. This user role is helpful if there are any characteristics that are not viewable by the public, but at this time, there are no such characteristics for colleges and universities. Public users have the same access the general public would have, but they will receive announcements and communications from CEPI. No matter the user role, this list will also include the user's phone number and email address. If you do not have access to the EEM, then you will need to find your authorized users in a different way. First, you can refer to the authorized user mailing list that CEPI sends out throughout the year, or you can email cepi@michigan.gov with your entity name and entity code. Just make sure to include the subject, authorized users. Someone will respond in 1 to 2 business days with a list of the authorized users for your entity. While you are in EEM, you may have a question on what the definition of a characteristic is. If you do, you can view more information on the characteristic by clicking the small question mark symbol next to the characteristic's name. After you click on that symbol, a small pop-up window will appear that will provide additional information such as the data type, its description, and instructions. If you have additional questions on the field, the instructions field will include information on who to contact. For example, here we can see more information on the entity code field, including contact information for CEPI, who serves as the main contact for the field. You can also find information on the different characteristics on our website at michigan.gov/CEPI. The EEM page houses manuals for the application, including the EEM glossary, which provides definitions for each of the characteristics available in EEM. This will also include characteristics for K-12 entities, but it is a good resource if you need to find the definitions of a few different characteristics. Speaking of the CEPI website, it is a great resource for learning more about the EEM and the other CEPI applications. To find the resources for the EEM, go to michigan.gov/CEPI and click on Applications in the side menu. Just find Educational Entity Master listed under that menu and click on it. The application page houses additional information on the application, including the security form, user's guides, and other support materials. The first few links go to important documents, including the CEPI calendar. The CEPI calendar is a great resource for keeping track of important dates and deadlines. The website also houses EEM manuals and user guides. This is where you can find the previously mentioned EEM glossary, guide to my login, and the EEM user guide. The final section on the application page houses EEM technical and training material. There are step-by-step guides here for how to open an entity, how to close an entity, and how to add, remove, or edit a contact in the EEM. If you want to brush up on your EEM knowledge, this is a good place to take a look for a refresher. And that concludes part 1 of the post-secondary data collections and reporting presentation. I hope you learn more about the EEM and feel more confident in using our application. After watching this presentation, if you still have questions on the application or the material presented here, you can send your questions to my email, thebrabanderj1@michigan.gov. If you have general questions on the application, you can also send them to our customer support team at cepi@michigan.gov. Thank you, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the rest of the presentations.